Hey guys, my name is Zach. Welcome to another Joy of Hobbying quick tip. I purchased this King of Magnetic Force and from one of the Facebook groups, and as you can see, the nose has a paint rub on it, which really sucks. And when I put it in the shelf, it made it look even worse. And so we're gonna do our best to fix that today. So here's the head sculpt here out of the cabinet. You can see there it's a pretty decent size paint rub. So I would say it's probably about the size of the eye, the pupil itself. And so we're going to try to fix that. The paints that we're going to use are Vallejo Flat Flesh, Earth Brown, and Whole Red. And the first step that I'm going to do here is I'm going to start mixing some of the flat flesh with the earth brown and a tiny bit of whole red. And I'm going to start basically making some different combinations of those colors to give myself some options for tones as I work to try to match the factory paint. A lot of times with these Hot Toys style paint jobs, the flesh tends to be very gray, and so it is kind of weird to match it because it doesn't really, like when you think of what flesh would look like, you don't think of like a grayish color. So we'll come in here with our blend of the flat flesh, the whole red, and the brown, and we're gonna start covering that the spot that basically the paint has rubbed off on. And this coat isn't super thick, but it is maybe a tiny bit thicker than you'd put a normal coat of paint. And the reason for that is we do have to fill the very minor divot that is created when the paint that was on there previously has rubbed off. So it is a little bit brighter than the final skin tone, but we'll fix that here with a little bit of whole red, and we'll add a tiny bit of water to this, and we'll make almost like a little bit of a tint color. And this will start to bring this repainted area in line with what was there previously. I've looked at some references of people that own this figure, some shots they've taken, and so we're using that as a reference to what the paint job would have looked like before the damage. We'll come in with some flat brown, or flat earth rather, and we're going to do the same thing with the water, and we're going to make a little bit of a brown wash here to cover over the red and the existing mixed paint. And you can see there it is starting to blend quite nicely. I think I added just a little bit too much, but you can see it is starting to get in line with the rest of the skin tone, which is pretty gray. So as we continue here, it's basically going to be applying paint and then blending it with a toothpick with water. And we'll continue these steps back and forth. And as you can see here, it is really starting to look quite good compared to the rest of the paint job. Now, I don't claim to be like a professional painter by any means, and you know, at the end of the day, if we can get this 90%, 95% close to the original paint job, I think that will be pretty successful. But you see here, we're just trying to blend in the new paint that we added with the existing paint, and we'll go over this a few more times with, like I said, with a little bit of wash, a little bit of Q-tip, and here we're doing one more very light red wash here, very, very light, but these washes serve to blend in the color. And if you look at a lot of like Hot Toys or third party, like the really good paint jobs, the paint isn't one color. It's sort of like blended colors, and you'll have tiny little freckles throughout. And that's kind of what we're emulating here with these wash colors. And then we're just doing one final touch up here of the flesh paint just to get rid of some of the dark spots. And we're doing this while the underlying colors are still a little wet, and that way they can blend together to give us pretty much our final tone. Now, once you're done applying this paint, you want to let it dry fully before the next step. If you go in there and do the final coat of varnish, you can kind of mess it up. So I recommend waiting a few hours to let everything set up. In this case, I think I waited about 2 hours. And then we'll go in here with some Mecha matte varnish. And that is it's a sealant, and it's also a matte finish, so it'll match the rest of the paint. The paint that I was using, it was maybe a little satin, so once we have that Mecha matte varnish on, you can see here this is the before. So this is before we added any paint, and this is the after. Like I said, I'm not the greatest painter in the world. It's not going to be 100% match, but the goal was to get it to be a little bit better and less noticeable, and I think we certainly achieved that. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer them.